We as the American people deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redactions whatsoever, period.
Erika having done this is completely and utterly creepy. It's creepy. It makes no sense.
The timing in my life is perfect for this opportunity. I'm at a great point, just career-wise, to be able to take on this type of endeavor. And like I said, I'm very coachable, I'm very trainable.
I was living in China and doing a lot of work with the victims from sex trafficking, and then was able to work with a orphanage in Romania.
But here's what nobody is connecting. There's a version of this story where Erika Kirk is exactly who she says she is. A dedicated wife, a conservative media figure, the woman stepping into the enormous shadow left by Charlie Kirk, committed to carrying his legacy forward at Turning Point USA. That version of the story is comfortable, it's clean, and for a long time, almost nobody looked past it. But then the Epstein files dropped, and when researchers, journalists, and online investigators started combing through hundreds of thousands of newly released DOJ documents, a name started surfacing in a context that nobody expected. Not directly, not yet, but close enough to make serious people stop and ask serious questions. The company was called the Corcoran Group, a high-end Manhattan real estate firm. On the surface, nothing unusual. But according to investigators who cross-referenced the DOJ document releases, the Corcoran Group appears in those files not once, not twice, but 108 times. 108 mentions of a single real estate firm inside a federal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's operation. That alone would raise eyebrows. But here's the part that connects directly to Erika Kirk. According to her publicly listed Zillow profile, still active, still searchable under her maiden name, Erika France, she was affiliated with the Corcoran Group. People magazine corroborated this, reporting that Erika began working with the firm in 2018. The same firm, the same 108 mentions, the same network. Now, before we go further, nothing in those files names Erika Kirk directly. That needs to be said clearly. What exists is a documented professional overlap between Erika and an organization that was allegedly at the center of Epstein's real estate dealings. Whether that overlap is coincidence, circumstance, or something else entirely is exactly the question that online investigators are refusing to let go of. And when you start pulling that thread, things get complicated very quickly. To understand why the Corcoran connection matters, you have to understand who was running it. On paper, the president of the Corcoran Group was a woman named Pamela Lehman. She was Erika's direct boss during the period Erika worked there. And Pamela Lehman doesn't just appear once in the Epstein files, she appears as someone described as being, according to those documents, deep inside Epstein's circle. There is reportedly an email from 2011 in which Pamela Lehman arranged for the new owner of Epstein's Manhattan townhouse to sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, on an Epstein property sale, brokered through the firm where Erika worked. And Erika, as of the time this story broke, reportedly still follows Pamela Lehman on Instagram. But it doesn't stop with Pamela, because here's where the DOJ files get genuinely strange. While Pamela Lehman is listed as president on public documents, the federal files allegedly identify a different person holding that same title at the Corcoran Group, Linda Rothschild, a name that, for anyone who has spent time researching Epstein's extended network, requires no further introduction. The Corcoran Group also handled the posthumous sale of Epstein's Palm Beach mansion, and they allegedly issued a press release on their own company website, boasting about their appearance in the New York Post in connection with a property purchase linked to Les Wexner, one of Epstein's most well-documented associates. This is not a real estate company that kept a cautious distance from controversy. According to the available record, it leaned into the connection, and Erika Kirk worked there. So the question that investigators online are now asking isn't just, did Erika know? The question being raised carefully, with the word alleged firmly attached, is whether Erika Kirk's role at the Corcoran Group was ever purely professional. Because according to some researchers, Epstein didn't just use the firm to buy and sell property. He allegedly used firms like this one to identify, vet, and make contact with young women. And that possibility, however unverified, is what has turned this from an internet theory into something people with serious credibility are discussing openly. Here's where the story shifts from uncomfortable to genuinely disturbing. Erika Kirk's own words place her in Romania, in China, in Costa Rica, in an orphanage, working, she says, with victims of sex trafficking, traveling internationally to be hands-on with vulnerable populations in countries that, it turns out, appear repeatedly in the Epstein files, Romania specifically. The DOJ DOJ documents contain, according to researchers, hundreds of references to Romanian girls. There are emails where Epstein asks a redacted contact whether they found a Romanian girl, follow-up emails asking what language she speaks, a 2011 message referencing a Romanian girl in terms that investigators describe as deeply troubling, and the pattern repeats over years across multiple correspondences. What makes this geographically significant is this. The Romanian town of Constanța appears in those federal files, and Constanța is the same city where Erika Kirk's charitable organization Romanian Angels was reportedly based.
Well, I was living in China and doing a lot of work with the victims from sex trafficking, and then was able to work with a orphanage in Romania.
Now, to be absolutely clear, charitable work with trafficking victims is, on its face, admirable, and there is no verified evidence that Romanian Angels was anything other than what it claimed to be. But investigators are raising a specific and pointed question. How does someone with no documented training, no formal education in trauma, and no professional credentials in social work end up working directly with sex trafficking victims in some of the world's most vulnerable regions? That question has no satisfying public answer, and the absence of that answer is exactly what keeps people digging. Before the Epstein files, before the Corcoran Group, before Romania, there was Jill Falcon. Jill Falcon was 15 years old in 2013 and 2014 when Erika Kirk, then approximately 25, working as a casting agent, allegedly began texting her. The messages that have since been made public are, by any reasonable standard, deeply inappropriate for an adult professional to be sending to a minor. Erika allegedly called Jill a dime piece. She allegedly made sexual innuendos through intentionally misspelled words. She allegedly told Jill in one recovered message that she had the most stunning features: her eyes, her lips, her skin. She sent chocolates, she sent birthday gifts, and eventually she arranged a meeting in person, after which Jill tweeted that it was great meeting Erika and that she thought she was perfect. But here's the part that commentators, including Candace Owens, have focused on specifically. The messages didn't just involve flattery and gifts. At some point, Erika allegedly sent Jill, this 15-year-old, to a photo shoot alone, without her parents' knowledge, without their consent, arranged by Erika, with a photographer who was, by Jill's own later account, someone she found unsettling. She remembered only that his name started with an R and that he made her uncomfortable.
Any photographer who is taking photos of a 15-year-old without their parents' consent is a creep. I would also similarly say that any person who is arranging for photographs to be taken of a 15-year-old girl without explicit permission from that person's mother is a total creep.
No charges have been filed in connection with this incident. No legal proceedings are known to be underway. But the behavior, as documented, led Candace Owens and others to argue publicly that what Erika did was not just inappropriate, it was the kind of grooming behavior that, in any other context, would end a career and trigger an investigation. What makes it relevant to the broader Epstein narrative is the pattern: love bombing a minor, establishing trust, arranging an unsupervised encounter with an adult male photographer. Critics are not saying this was Epstein connected. They are saying it rhymes with a methodology that has been documented extensively in Epstein-adjacent cases. And in a story already filled with unanswered questions, the rhyming gets harder to ignore. Here is the contradiction that might be the most damning part of all of this, and it has nothing to do with speculation or conspiracy theory. It's documented public record. Charlie Kirk spent years demanding the full release of the Epstein files. He said it on air. He said it in interviews. He pushed for it, he claimed, both privately and publicly.
We as the American people deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redactions whatsoever, period.
And think the DOJ should immediately move to unseal all the Epstein documents in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah.
Let the American people decide.
Charlie didn't just want the files released. According to the transcript, he was also publicly connecting Epstein's operation to foreign intelligence, specifically referencing Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, and his alleged ties to Israeli intelligence, suggesting Epstein was, in his words, cast for a specific role and played it very well. That is a significant thing for the leader of a major conservative organization to say publicly. It suggests Charlie understood, or at least suspected, that the Epstein network went far deeper than a single disgraced financier. And then Charlie died, and Erika Kirk stepped into his role at Turning Point USA. And since the Epstein files became public, since her name became linked through employment records, through Zillow, through People magazine's own reporting to the Corcoran Group, since the Romanian Angels and Constanța and the China trips and Jill Falcon all started being discussed simultaneously simultaneously across multiple platforms. Erika Kirk has said nothing, not a statement, not a denial, not a press release, nothing. For an organization that built its entire brand on transparency, on family values, on protecting children, the silence is, to put it mildly, conspicuous. And critics are asking, if Charlie wanted every name exposed, why is the woman claiming to carry his legacy the one person who would benefit most from some names staying hidden? Word travels fast in the world of political commentary and independent media, and when the full picture of what is being alleged about Erika Kirk, the Corcoran Group, the 108 file mentions, Pamela Lehman, Linda Rothschild, Romanian Angels, Constanza, the China trips, Jill Falcon, the unsupervised photo shoot, the gifts, the texts, when all of that gets laid out in sequence, without hype, just facts and documented claims, the reaction from informed observers has been described as one thing: speechless. Joe Rogan, who has spent years covering Epstein-related stories and has given a platform to investigators, researchers, and whistleblowers who have tracked every corner of this network, has built an audience that is now watching this story develop in real time. His listeners know the names, they know the geography, they know what Romania meant in those files, they know what it means when someone with no credentials ends up working directly with trafficking victims in the exact same towns that appear in the Epstein DOJ documents. And the alleged connection that Erika Kirk wasn't just a real estate agent at a firm Epstein used, but may have served in a far more operational role is the kind of claim that, once you see the documented overlap, is very difficult to unsee. To be clear, there is no verified proof that Erika Kirk was Epstein's assistant. There is no signed contract, no witness testimony on record, no confirmed communication between them. What exists is a documented professional connection through the Corcoran Group, a geographic overlap between her charitable work and Epstein's documented victim recruitment patterns, a behavioral record involving a minor that critics describe as grooming adjacent, and a silence from Erika herself that, in the context of an organization that demanded full transparency on Epstein, is, at minimum, a contradiction that demands explanation. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a documented set of facts with a very large, very obvious gap in the middle. And the question of what fills that gap is one that Erika Kirk so far has chosen not to answer. She said she was coachable. She said she was trainable. She said the timing in her life was perfect.
The timing in my life is perfect for this opportunity. And like I said, I'm very coachable, I'm very trained.
The question that investigators, commentators, and now mainstream audiences are asking is simple. Coachable for what? Trainable by whom? And if the answer even partially involves the network documented in 108 mentions inside a federal sex trafficking investigation, then the silence isn't just suspicious, it's the story. Charlie Kirk demanded transparency. He demanded names. He believed the public deserved to know every person in Epstein's orbit, unredacted, unfiltered, with no exceptions. And the woman who claims to carry his legacy is the one person in conservative media who has remained completely, deliberately, and inexplicably quiet about all of it. Maybe there's an innocent explanation. Maybe all of this is coincidence, the firm, the geography, the pattern, the silence. Maybe Erika Kirk is exactly who she presents herself to be, and every single one of these overlaps is an unfortunate coincidence. But coincidences this precise, this layered, this geographically specific, this behaviorally consistent, they don't usually stay coincidences forever. The files are out, the names are surfacing, and the only person who can close the gap between what is documented and what is alleged is Erika Kirk herself. She hasn't spoken yet. The question is why?